but it was a struggle to kind of find your way in a career path that doesn't really have any established route.
Take me back to that time. You were a web designer. What was that feeling like? You were gonna step out on your own.
Well, I, having had the corporate job for, 8 or 9 years at that point, I had built up a little bit of savings. I was ready to move on. And of course, I was anxious and nervous, but I did the preparation as best I could. However, I will say it's a type of, being a sake educator and brand ambassador, there's no real established career path for this kind of work.
Exactly.
It's not something that a lot of people do. So I really had to find my own way and made some mistakes and, got tripped up along the way. But where I've landed these several years later feels very comfortable and really, really great. So I've ended up in a good place. But it was a struggle to kind of find your way in a career path that doesn't really have any established route. Like there's no college degree in becoming a sake brand ambassador and educator.
Right.
So I really had to find my own way. So that got scary at times. But they always say if you what is the saying? If you love what you do, it's like you never have to work another day in your life. I'm kind of almost there, halfway there.
Okay, well, you embrace it, and
I totally embrace it, and it's a lot of fun. And I have people tell me all the time, "Oh my gosh, you have my dream job. That sounds so amazing."
Right.
So I really do have an appreciation for how unique and interesting my work is, and it's recently been absolutely wonderful. So,
as a Japanpreneur, what is one move that you've made that's been the biggest role in your success?
I say definitely, no hesitation, without a doubt, taking a year away from my New York City life, moving to rural Japan, and going super deep into the work of sake production.
Yeah.
A lot of people assume because I lived in Japan and I worked as a brewer for 12 months that I want to open my own brewery. And nothing could be further from the truth. I do not want that at all. But I said to myself, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm getting a little bit older. I want to be the best educator I can be. I love the world of sake. I'm going to, I really stopped my New York City life, moved myself to Japan, and said for a limited time, for 12 months, I'm going to go super deep into this world. And the brewery I worked with, Hakkaisan, they were so good. They set me up with a rotating internship, and I got to work 1 month in the rice milling plant, 1 month in the rice washing and steaming room, 1 month in the koji room, and so on and so forth. And that experience of living the lifestyle of a sake brewer for 1 year gave me tremendous confidence and really inspired me even more. I mean, I was gung-ho about sake before, but living among the brewers and learning what they do every day and the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making sake made me super passionate about it. Yeah. So taking that year away was difficult. Being away from friends and family was really hard, but I got so much in return. And it was a really good decision to, as someone who focuses on a Japan-focused business, to actually live there, be in the situation, and then come back. And now I view my role as kind of a cultural translator for sake. Explaining why things are served a certain way, why the bottle sizes are the way they are, why the flavor profiles, are this way or that way, and kind of translating for a non-Japanese audience this very specific, culturally identified, delicious product. That's been a great joy for me.
Yeah, and as you said, it's taking this entrepreneurial route. There is no college. There really is no one's, footsteps to follow in. So, creating that education and immersion is something I think that would really set you apart from just being a salesman or a promoter of a particular product. What book would you recommend for our Small Business Japan listeners?
I don't remember the name of it, but I do remember one book that really transformed my career in a lot of ways. I think it doesn't matter which specific one you read, but I read a book on being a good public speaker and being a good presenter. I just got one on, a book website, ordered it, and that book helped me more. Reading a book on public speaking, I think, is great for any entrepreneur, because you do have to get up and talk in front of people time to time, even if it's not part of your job.
Right.
And reading some tips on doing that well was I think back, was one of the best investments I ever made, because being a good speaker, especially as someone who does education as part of my entrepreneur work, that helped me more than anything else. And I'm really grateful that I took the time to study about how to be a good speaker, how to be a good presenter.
Is there something you feel the Japanpreneur community should know about that maybe I didn't cover?
Well, one thing that I struggled with a lot as someone who was doing business with Japan and entrepreneur, I struggled with being fluent in Japanese. And I thought that if I became fluent in Japanese, that would solve all my problems related to doing business with this country. And living in Japan, I didn't become as fluent as I wanted to be, but I realized that I shouldn't have let that stop me as much as it did. You can always get a translator, you can always get a friend to help. There's always people in Japan who speak better English than you think. There's always a way around this problem. And I feel, looking back, I let it be too much of a hindrance to my connecting with people, talking with people. I should have been more bold and more open, and kind of not worried so much about the language barrier. I put that kind of in front of everything else. So if you're not fluent in Japanese, don't let that stop you. We can find a different way to communicate, make things happen. Networking really helps a lot. And go out there, be bold, and talk to people. That's the one advice I wish I had received years ago.
So passion trumps language abilities.
It absolutely does. I've visited breweries before my Japanese got basic conversational. I visited breweries. I actually spent a day visiting a brewery in rural Ishikawa, and the master brewer spent the whole day with me, and he spoke no English, and my Japanese was very rudimentary. But we spent the whole day together, eating together, communicating as best we could, and it's one of the most memorable brewery visits I've ever had.
Yeah.
So I really don't let language get in my way much anymore. I try to keep learning and keep studying, but I used to let it get in the way a lot more than it does now. So I encourage people to get out there and do their best with what they have.